Okay, let's start. Hi, listeners. I'm really excited to talk about episode 12. I can't believe we're already there, regarding an 80s song duet called Don't You Want Me. It is a single by British synth pop group The Human League, and I believe one of the best He Said, She Said song duets. Now, if you haven't heard about synth pop, what it is, it's short for synthesizer pop, also called technical pop or techno pop. It's a subgenre of new wave music that first became prominent in the 1970s, late 70s, and features the synthesizer as the dominant musical instrument, hence the synth pop. And prior to the Human League being the Human League, when they changed their name in the late 1977, they actually were called The Future. I did not know that. And the Human League was named after an element of a science fiction board game. So, any listeners out there that love to geek out on science fiction board games, that is why they're called the Human League. It was released on November 27, 1981, as the fourth single from their third studio album, Dare. It is the band's best known and it's the band's best known and most commercially successful recording, and was a 1981 Christmas #1 in the UK, where it since sold over 1.5 million copies, making it the 23rd most successful single in the UK singles chart history. I knew them back in the US because they later topped the Billboard Hot 100 in the US back on July 3rd, 1982, where it stayed for 3 weeks. Before we go into all the specifics about the background of the song, the inspiration, the music video, what the misheard song lyric that I heard, as well as some people would sing, especially at mini karaoke night, is instead of singing or saying, "Don't you want me," they would actually sing, "Don't you want me." It's that part is so close, it sounds like it could be one or the other, which leads to some funny, finding when you find that out that no, that's not, he's not chewing on her. But okay, if you're into that, I have nothing to say about that. So let's go into the lead singer, Philip Oakey's fashion sense. If you watch the video, and you can find it many in the internet, YouTube is where I found it, he has a very distinct fashion sense. Throughout his career and apparently in his personal life, Oakey has been very flamboyant, which is great, and he's a fashion trendsetter. His outrageous dress sense and original hairstyle will make him an iconic figure in the early 1980s music scene. Soon after, like I shared earlier, that it was transformed from The Future to Human League, Oakey as a lead singer wanted a look that would make him a little bit more distinct, stand out from other lead singers, and boy did he pick one. So one of his inspirations was he spotted a girl on a Sheffield bus, and Sheffield's in England somewhere, with a Veronica Lake hairstyle, which is kind of like the hairstyle I have, dark black or dark brunette with a blunt cut or blunt bang. And Oakey, as lead singer, wanted a look that would make him stand out like that. And he thought, well, something like that with maybe having that dark color, but he ended up adopting a lopsided geometric hairstyle where one part was shoulder length on the other side and the other was short on the other. And I can tell you, in my junior high, I could think of 2 classmates that had that same haircut, probably inspired by Mr. Oakey. And then between 1978 and 79, with this unique hairstyle, you can imagine that he would still maintain a masculine dress style and sometimes would wear a full beard. So he was way ahead of his time. He actually was inspired by the 1970s glam rock style of Brian Eno, and he began wearing makeup. This is when you started to see makeup with him, Boy George, and others. And being a young child at that time, I was just like first confused, but like I couldn't stop looking at it. It was like a moth to a flame because these people were just beautiful. And he started to increasingly become more feminine in his wear and started to use a bright red lipstick. And I have no problem with that. I'm in fact wearing a bright red lipstick right now and I love it. So by 1981, after the formation of the new Human League, Oakey's trademark style at the early 1980s was complete, as well as full makeup. He started becoming, Oakey had begun wearing androgynous clothing, so clothing that could be male or female, which we see today in the almost 2020s, can you believe that? So he added the addition of teenage schoolgirls, so they were still in school. He added the addition of teenage schoolgirls Susan Ann Sully and Joanne Catherall as co-vocalists to the band in 1980, complementing his look. Sometimes all 3 would wear the same eyeliner and lipstick, which, hey, That's okay. As long as no one has pink eye, we're good. And Oki and Catherall and soon entered into a relationship with each other. So of course, like most bands, so people started hooking up, and often they looked and dressed almost identical. So that's even more than those couples you see at Disneyland that wear the same matching T-shirts and everything else. I mean, they actually wore the same makeup and everything. The media, of course, back in the early 80s, joked about his style. Again, he was way ahead of his time, and he pushed his unique style further by becoming probably one of the few singers, male singers out there actually wearing high heeled shoes, which I see now no problem with many young stars, as well as I think Will Smith's son has worn high heeled shoes, and many a contestant on RuPaul on and off the red carpet. He also began piercing both of his ears and wore dangling women's diamante earrings, which you see in the video. And it's just visually stunning because when the light hits it, you're like, oh wow, he's wearing not just the usual one earring, but on both. And he would like to shock people. And on the Human League's poster in 1981, he would sometimes pose shirtless, displaying his pierced nipples linked together by a gold chain. So, you just imagine the oohs and ahs he got, and the clutch your pearls uh, response from some of the more conservative listeners. And he would also say, this is his quote: "I deliberately wore clothes that either men or women could wear, but I don't think I ever looked like a woman, and I never wore very masculine clothes." So there's that androgynous, which actually, was started by David Bowie and others way before him. And he sometimes didn't just have that look on the stage. He actually openly went out in public in full makeup, dressed in his eclectic style, and claims that Sheffield was so accepting of that no one ever blinked an eyelid. So it sounds like maybe Sheffield's just like where I'm from. I'm from Portland, Oregon, a city in Oregon in the United States, and we're known for being weird. So maybe same kind of thing. So let's go right into background and inspiration of the song. The lyrics were originally inspired by, again, lead singer Philip Oakey, and now we know about his fashion sense, or forward fashion sense. Apparently, he read a photo story in a teen girls magazine. Originally conceived and recorded the studio as a male solo, but then when he saw the movie film A Star Is Born, so I'm assuming it's probably the Barbara Streisand version, because of course the Lady Gaga one wasn't out by this time. She wasn't even born, or maybe just born. And he decided to turn the song into a conflicting duet with one of the band's two teenage female vocalists. He actually used Susan Ann Soley to take the role. Up until then, he was going to have his girlfriend Joanne Cathedral to do it, but he only had been assigned. Okay. Oki was inspired by the film A Star Is Born and decided to turn the song into a conflicting duet with one of the band's two teenage female vocalists. He actually used Susan Ann Sully to take on this role. Up until then, she and the other female vocalist, Joanne Cathedral, is, again, we know that he started dating Joanne, had only been assigned to backup vocals. And according to Sully, she was just chosen only through the luck of the draw. And so they worked with musicians Joe Callis and Philip Adrian Wright to create this synthesizer score to accompany the lyrics, which is awesome. And it was recorded by Virgin Records producer Martin Rushent, but he was unhappy with them. So they later remixed the track, giving it a more softer and, in Oki's opinion, poppy sound. And that's kind of where they came with what we hear today. Apparently, Oki hated the new version and thought it would be the weakest track on Dare, resulting in one of his infamous rows with Rushent, or Martin Rushent. But, he was proven wrong because the public loved it. And so, again, this song is widely considered a classic of its era, and I definitely agree upon that. Again, it was released on November 27th, 1981. Did very well. It was available in CD, cassette later on. And what I love about it is the music video. That's what still sticks in my mind. So let's talk about the music video. The group recorded Dare from their album in 1981. And that was a time, if you don't remember then, if you weren't there then, it was with the steep rise of MTV, and that's when they used to still play music videos. I love that era. And so Virgin was like, we need to have a really slick looking video to be able to, show off this band as well as look great and use this new medium of music videos. So they decided to go ahead and make this full on video, very elaborate. And in the video of Don't You Want Me, Sully, who is the female co singer, plays a successful actress walking out on her bitter Svengali lover, played by Oki, who's not happy with her success and departure. That's why in the beginning I'm not chorus, but beginning lyrics, he's saying his story, she's saying hers, and of course they're like, no, that's not how I remember it. And the video is actually for the song filmed near Berkshire in November of 1981, and it had this kind of filming and editing of a murder mystery film featuring the band members as characters and production staff. And so it had this making of a video feel, and that's why throughout the video you could see both cast, crew, camera apparatus throughout. And it was conceived by director and filmmaker Steve Barron. And it just at its core had the interaction between successful actress, played by, again, Susan Ann Sully, walking out on film director Philip Oakey, lead singer of this band, on a film set. And again, it's loosely based on a film, A Star is Born. And then near at the end of the video, Wright, who also plays a film editor, has an expression on his face while the camera pulls back, and lo and behold, it reveals there's the negative room from where Oki and Wright and Sully were working in yet another sets. So you can even see the camera be seen in the mirror's reflection. So it's another movie within a movie, and it just blows your mind. So if you haven't seen the video lately, please go onto YouTube. Please go onto YouTube, and I'll have a link as well to the show notes. But again, love the song, love the look, and love the misheard song of Don't Chew on Me Baby, unless you're into that. So keep singing, and please send me some great ideas for future misheard lyrics. You can send it at misheard, that's MISS heard, HEARD songs at gmail.com. And please, you guys, we're doing so good. We've been tracking up that iTunes chart for music commentary. So if you can go in and put a nice, comment as well as rate us at 5 out of 5, that just gets us higher in the chart and more people to know about us. So if you can just do that, that would be great. So again, thank you, and go ahead and send us any great inspirations for future misheard lyric podcast episodes, and who knows, you might be a future guest. Thanks again.